Path of Night is an actual play Vampire the Masquerade podcast set in the classic world of darkness. We're all friends, we're here to have fun, but our story can include graphic violence, drug use, sexual content, and other mature themes. We've talked at our table about safety, comfort, and consent both as players and storytellers. We know what to expect, we're all excited to be here, and we want you to feel the same, so listener discretion is advised. Now, let's walk the path of night.
Last time on Path of Night, the coterie gathered to the side to hear Wynn recount her meeting with Shaw's child, the new Nosferatu primogen, who had many questions about what happened between Johnny and his sire. The news didn't bode well, so the coterie gathered up Neil and their gear to head off to Boston in search of the answers Wynn wanted about the dead rising, and with a little luck, to gain favor with the New Haven court. During the trip, it's all pretty easy going. Sometimes you see, state trooper cars kind of like whip by, but they're never looking for you. And then as you kind of get close, you start really kind of seeing Boston's lights, and you arrive to the city.
So, you guys said you had contacts up here. Where are we supposed to be going?
Don't we go to get hospitality first?
Yeah, but I assume we had a contact who would like introduce us, or...
I talked to Jane before we left. She gave me a number of her contact.
Okay, should we call before we get into the city limits?
Johnny holds up a card with a phone number jotted down onto it.
This is a Ventrue kind of dead zone, unfortunately. It's probably why Arabella came up here, but other than that, she might be involved in the financial sector.
Okay, so, I guess... Britta wants to make a phone call if Ventrue or Persona non grata up here?
I mean, it's somebody that Jane is friends with, and I'm assuming that she probably gave them the heads up.
Okay. Well, somebody needs to make the phone call.
Yeah, we need to make that point of contact in person. Or over the phone, rather.
Johnny, would it be a Bruja, or I guess I could try?
Well, they're a friend of Jane's. Just go from there. He hands the card to you with the number.
Britta looks at the card, and... Do we know her name? Anything about her?
They're friends with Jane. Give them a call and tell them who it is.
Alrighty. And she will call.
The phone rings for a little while, and you hear someone pick up. Who the hell is this?
Hi, this is Britta. I'm a part of Johnny's coterie.
Who the hell is Johnny?
We're friends of Jane. We're getting into Boston.
Jane. All right.
You were
And what's your name?
I'm Britta.
All right, Britta. And you said something about a coterie?
We have a group, yeah?
Well, I'm Scourge Sullivan. I work here in Boston. I'll get you checked in. If you need more than that, let me know, and I'll make sure you're taken care of. But right now, the prince is holding his court. No one's invited, so we're not sure when he's going to be available again. But in the meantime, I have clearance to have you granted permission to remain in the domain until he's all set to have, an appointment.
Thank you, Scourge Sullivan. That's very helpful.
I guess. I'll do what I can.
Any particular meeting place you'd like for us?
Yeah, I'll pick you up at Quincy Market.
All right.
Try not to make any noise.
I appreciate it. And I give him an approximate time based on Johnny's estimate of
Where we're headed?
Quincy's Market.
Gotcha.
To meet with Scourge Sullivan. They're not having visitors right now, but His Grace is in the middle of court.
It's going to be a little bit getting through the actual township, so say we'll probably be there about an hour or so.
About an hour or so?
Yeah, it's fine. For sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, he hangs up.
5 minutes later, Dunkin' Donuts is on fire.
All right, guys, we just got to be cool for an hour in Boston. How hard can that be?
He did mention not to make any noise. I don't know if that means he's expecting anything, but, he said he had clearance to hold us for a while. Maybe until, court is open to us?
No, you said that was the Scourge?
Scourge Sullivan?
Okay.
It sounds like
Have we explained what a scourge is?
I don't remember.
Okay, scourge is a position within some courts. They take care of undocumented kindred.
That's us, right?
Well, not anymore. We made contact with him.
Yeah, so in theory he'll give us the okay until we can formally ask for the hospitality of the prince.
Being that I know Jane, does the name Sullivan ring any bells for me?
She's vaguely referenced on a handful of occasions.
I never knew that it was the Scourge, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I think Sullivan's a Bruja, but I've only heard their name in passing. Jane's mentioned them a few times. Didn't realize it was the Scourge, though.
Well, hopefully they'll be able to give us a little bit of lay of the land, and then we'll go from there. I was kind of hoping for an Elysium, but...
I mean, Scourge sounds more ominous than just a waypoint. Sort of a weird title, isn't it?
Well,
When he says take care of undocumented kindred,
yeah.
Yeah. There's lots of different ways to take care of undocumented kindred. Usually, Scourge looks for those who...
they're not the welcoming committee. Let's
Yeah.
put it that way.
I see.
But on the plus side, we get to go to Quincy Market.
That's true. Yeah.
Just I don't know if it's been made clear yet or anything, but I know we've talked about. It's been a little while since we've talked about the traditions and things. We're not going to be feeding or anything while we're here until we get permission for, different people have different territories, different hunting grounds. So,
All right.
we topped out outside the city. Everything's fine, but we will not be eating in Boston until someone says, here's where you can eat. Just as a
Gotcha.
general.
As always, Neil, I appreciate the warnings.
It's really helpful. Thank you.
Well, I just.
Also, the Camarilla owns Boston, but there are parts of it that are pretty well held by another clan called the Giovanni.
They're who I'm here to see.
They're not necessarily always friendly with the Camarilla. I think right now relations are pretty good.
It's kind of like New Haven and the Setites.
Exactly.
By the way, as we're approaching here, are you seeing anything here, Wynn? I mean, you said some sort of, conflux or large happening was happening out here. Is there anything you're seeing?
Wynn takes a look around.
It's desolate here. There's nothing to speak of in terms of ghostly activity. Even the really old Boston structures that you would assume would be there, especially around downtown Boston. It's all shredded and torn down. It looks like a storm recently ripped through this place. And every now and again, the wind kind of picks up again.
It's a fucking wasteland.
Is that normal?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, that's not it. You know how... Remember Hurricane Andrew? What it did to Florida?
Let's go with yes.
I remember it crashed the insurance industry around here and closed a bunch of businesses.
It's sort of like that. All of these old structures are torn down. They look like they've been clawed to pieces.
Okay.
And the wind keeps picking up again.
Why would that be?
That's what I'm here to find out. Sometimes there are storms, but this would have to be a hell of a storm.
People talk about the Giovanni, and I think this is a little bit more than rumor. But word is they have their hands deep into the spirit realm.
So they're kind
The
of like
undead
Wynn?
realm. They're specifically, they I'm gonna say work with the realm of the dead.
There's some sorcery that binds the dead.
Why are you hesitating when you say that they
Because
work
some
with?
of it is more benevolent than others. Some of them, they're just mediums. They just work with them like any other medium would. But a lot of necromancers, their practices are unsavory. They make things out of the dead.
Like Reese.
Yeah.
Reese has things that were made by soul forging, but I don't think he's a soul forger.
You can't trust any blood sorcerer.
You can trust at least
Johnny's
one blood
eyes kind of
sorcerer.
flick in the rear view for a second.
Neil is not capable of meeting his eyes.
How does that help, Johnny?
It's the truth.
That's your truth.
All right, so we treat the Giovanni like they're friends?
Acquaintances. Be polite, be respectful. Sort of how you would treat anyone.
Okay.
I need to get in touch with Raven to get a point of contact with them. I probably shouldn't be summoning and speaking with any animals until we've been given clearance to do so.
All right.
Eventually, the group of you do make it to Quincy Market, and you almost hear it before you see it, as the kind of cobblestone pathways here cause drunk women with high heels to get their heels stuck frequently. So every now and again, one takes a dip, hits the ground, says something very loudly about how incredibly drunk she is, and then her girlfriends kind of help her back up to their feet, and the cycle begins anew. These incredibly drunk women issue their mating calls repeatedly, and drunk, kind of like beefy, muscled up guys who are not very like tall.
Wow.
Kind of head over to flirt with them with their like soul patches and like head of spiked hair.
Are there chin straps too?
Sometimes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
There goes our late 90s Central Boston
We
listeners.
did it. We hit the quota.
They no longer want to listen to us.
They got puka shell necklaces.
Fucking red socks everywhere.
Socks. The group of you find yourselves being followed as you make your way around Quincy Market. And eventually this man in kind of like a tarnished, old, faded, like white button-down shirt, old tie, old pants, old shoes, approaches you. He's got like he's one of those guys that has like an endless 5 o'clock shadow. Like it's always 5 o'clock for his beard. He approaches the group and gives like a little bit of a surly nod.
Britta lifts her hand to wave a little bit and offers a smile.
So why are you here?
We're looking for Arabella Rowlands.
Who sent you?
A combination of Pendragon and Upton Rowlands.
Okay. He kind of gives you like this look like he might not trust you, but it's unclear as to which individual you mentioned that causes this. All right. Well, his grace is holding a court right now, and when it's done, we can take a look at getting the group of you more permanently allowed to stay here. But sometimes when you hold this court, it can be a few days. So you're going to have to bear with us while we work on that.
Thank you.
A few days?
Well, people aren't allowed to attend his courts when he's holding them, so it's mostly just him in a quiet room. But sometimes it could take a while with it. We don't really give him a hard time about it because he'll stick his fucking redcoats on you, and then it's all over. It's game over.
Neil looks not at all surprised by the idea of holding court in an empty room.
So basically, you're going to want to be in your best behavior. If you're not fucking around too much, I'll keep you out of trouble. But if you run afoul with the redcoats, they're going to fucking kill you, and I'm not going to help you.
I'm sorry, can you explain who the redcoats are?
Somebody sent you to Boston and tell you about the redcoats?
Short answer, yes.
They're the enforcers. Bully boys, but allowed to kill people. The ringleader is an elder. Gangrel. Tough guy.
Name?
I'm not going to go heavy into the structure of the city until we're somewhere actually safe. Just understand that these are very aggressive individuals, and they're pretty much just looking for the opportunity to kill kindred, especially out-of-towners.
Thank you for the warning.
So, why don't we get going? I'm going to have you lay low for a night. See what I can do to get you set up. What are you here for again? What is this? Why did two princes send you? Especially two princes that don't like each other.
Arabella Rowlands has been making waves up here. And they
you
would
guys are going after Arabella Rowlands?
I wanted to talk to her at least.
He gives this cynical laugh.
What's...
All right, your funeral, let's go.
Why? What's going... Well, okay, we'll wait till we...
They didn't warn you, nothing?
Any information you have would be helpful if you're willing to share.
Was this a suicide punishment mission we were sent on?
Would that surprise any of us?
No, because we keep doing things that are considered suicide, so...
So it's a win-win for them, I guess?
Pretty much, yeah.
Jesus.
Right, well, follow me this way. And he basically kind of takes you on a walk headed into like the financial district. It's kind of later in the evening, so there's like fucking nobody there, and it's like this weird ghost town, even though you haven't actually traveled very far from where people actually are. And you go for the walk, and there's like a lot of hills, and there's lots of like little sights to see. And when far enough, he kind of turns and kind of sits down by the curb and lights up a cigarette. And again, like there's like no one here. There's like no cars passing through, nothing. Your friend Arabella Rowlands has been looking for something tied to a little bit of an urban legend, kind of an old story for the area, something called the Codex. And she's a very occulty kindred, dangerous woman. The last scourge was found having been completely fucking incinerated looking for her. She's killed kindred, and she looks like she's willing to do it again.
This does not sound like the same woman that we dealt with like a month ago.
All right, what was she like a month ago?
She was in New Haven.
Doing what?
Acting as Harpy.
Well, and then calling praxis on the prince.
Which failed.
But not really excited to involve herself in a fight.
Right, and not wielding magics that I'm aware of.
Yeah, she ran from the Lupin.
There is non-magical ways to incinerate somebody.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's definitely fucking fair. I could slap you in the mouth and leave burn marks. So...
All right.
But you said she was looking into this codex? Or rumors of
that's the rumor.
What's,
The Ur Codex?
yeah, is that...
All right. So, allegedly, during, like, the time of, like, witchcraft and trials,
Okay.
there was a cult, and their ringleader had bound his soul into an ancient tome. And through that tome, he was able to teach all sorts of secrets to anyone that held the book. Supposedly, she's looking for it. At least that's what the Nosferatu say. The last scourge, actually a redcoat, who went after her, I don't know, fell for some booby trap or some shit and ended up dead.
Britta, as he's kind of telling the story, will sit down on the curb as well and listen. And when he says that the last scourge ended up dead, she'll look over and ask, "So, you've had to be looking for her too, right?"
Something like that.
Does she officially have hospitality here?
No, she does not. No Ventrue may have hospitality here.
I feel like the whole party just looks at me at the same time.
Wynn is actually suspiciously quiet during this whole conversation.
Johnny doesn't burn you with a look on that, so...
I would look at me.
I mean, you're obviously...
Miles is looking at himself,
No,
like just,
Yeah, I mean, you are OFV.
Yeah.
Obviously fucking
Like
Ventrue.
Is that
Part of the reason I'm
negotiable?
also not
no, there's no way they're going to let a Ventrue live here. However, your friend, he kind of says, like, vaguely gesturing to Miles,
Miles waves.
so long as he keeps his mouth shut, isn't disrespectful, they're not going to tear him to pieces. They're probably not going to let him stay for more than a few nights, which means if you're going after this person, you need to actually, like, chop, get it done, or else you're going to end up being sent home before you really accomplish anything.
Good to know.
Even if we're solving a problem for the city like this.
To them, the Ventrue are the problem. You add another Ventrue, you're not actually solving the problem, you're just adding more problem.
Yeah.
All right, that's logical.
No, that's math. That's how math works.
Yeah. One douchebag plus one douchebag makes two douchebags.
This is
when
where
the
I was-
object
you
is
guys-
zero douchebags.
This is where your agreement was a little bit hurtful.
Do you have any idea where to start looking for her?
Perspective.
If we had a death wish?
I could draw up a couple locations, see if that helps you out.
That'd be great.
Do you think the Tremere in the city might be willing to talk to us? If she's looking for the Ur Codex, they might add some insight.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm sure the Tremere will be happy to talk to you.
Thank you.
I can't tell if that was sarcastic.
Yeah, I would very much tell without myself that Tremere's usually never happy to talk to people.
What's that?
Our Tremere is very grumpy.
Who's your Tremere?
Reese.
Oh. Yeah, they're probably not that different. So, but they're at least willing to talk.
Yeah, fair enough.
Sounds good.
Hey, so Sullivan, how do you know Jane?
She and I have the same sire.
Oh, broodmates then.
Yep.
Good to know.
Is there going to be a problem if I talk to some of the animals in the city?
What the fuck are you going to say to them?
I just need to send a message back to someone.
Oh, yeah, it's fine. I don't really talk to animals, so I have no idea what's going to piss them off and what's
Well,
not.
I was worried about pissing off anyone who does talk to the animals. That's more than anything. But
We've just heard things about King and wanted to make sure we were extra polite and respectful before we go around flexing any of our powers.
That's a good idea. He's got like an order of knights, and they're fucking... You're stepping into a pretty strange situation, so being careful about it is not a bad idea.
And it sounds like we share an objective a little bit. If Arabella's become your problem.
I'm not really willing to commit to that.
Okay.
Her being your problem or sharing an objective?
I don't know why you said the same thing twice, but
Just wanted to check.
no to both.
How long you been scourged for?
A couple months.
How do you like it?
Well, I think I get by, and I'd like to keep doing that.
Wait, Arabella killed the other Scourge a couple months ago?
No, there's 3 scourges in the domain.
I was under the impression that you took the job from the other dead one.
Oh, no. I would have never fucking taken it if I knew that shit was going on.
So Arabella is a recent problem.
Yeah.
Wanted to check my timeline.
Is there anything else that we should keep an eye out for?
While here, Boston's got a long history with the dead. So,
that's part of the reason I'm here.
yeah. So, weird things happen sometimes, but...
Where are the Giovanni hiding out in this city currently?
The Giovanni actually mainly operate out of the Prudential. That's where Milliner and all of them have their little meetings.
How are relations with them?
They get along all right. Actually, they're very tight with the Tremere. So, one of those things, if you want to get in with the Giovanni, get in tight with the Tremere. That's the way to do it. You want to piss off the Giovanni, piss off the Tremere.
Good to know.
So it looks like we need to have a couple of conversations and things while we're here. Do you have a sort of a place for visitors to stay, or?
Yeah, I can put you up.
Okay,
Much appreciated.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
He takes you guys for like a walk over to the north end, and you guys get like this little fucking hole in the wall restaurant, like haven space, and are able to kind of get rested up and settled in well before dawn.
Hey, Sullivan, one last question.
Yeah.
Did you get an edict up here about having to embrace people for Pendragon's army?
Yeah, we did.
So that bullshit's going all around the Northeast, huh?
You should see the compound. All right. So go ahead and get some rest, and I'll see what I can do to help you guys out tomorrow.
But I'll make sure he has a phone number for us.
Good night. Thanks again.
Have a good night. The group of you head to the location that's given to you by Scourge Sullivan. And there you come to an apartment in the north end that overlooks what's this string of restaurants on kind of like a small like road that seems to see a ton of traffic. There's people kind of walking around. You can hear the bustling of the city even at this time as people start closing up restaurants and getting ready to head home. And in this little apartment, it's cozy. Huge, thick curtains that are pretty obviously designed to kind of make the area more comfortable and useful as a haven. But beyond that, it's actually rather Spartan. No one lives here. There's some furniture, definitely no art whatsoever. Even the kitchen area doesn't seem to have anything in the way of dishes. There's no pots and pans. This is not a place that the living makes use of. With that said, it's very clean. It's a tidy space. And it looks like this might be a spot that they frequently use to care for visitors. So the group of you head in one at a time. It's got 2 bedrooms. There's the living room. Then there's the dining room / kitchen area. There are more of you than there are rooms. So there's going to be some figuring out to do. But beyond that, there's certainly enough space for all of you.
All right. Who wants to bunk up?
Sure.
Okay.
All right. Looks like we've got a space and a little bit of time. Let's go over what we're supposed to be doing tomorrow.
So I need to get in touch with Raven because my job here just got a lot more complicated.
How come?
Raven asked me to help her find this book that Arabella Rowlands has. I don't know if she'd mind me telling you, but I'll tell you anyway. It belonged to her. So
the Codex, is that what they call it?
Codex, yes.
How long ago did it belong to Raven?
Very long. Like, it belonged to her and her coven.
Do people
They created it.
Do people outside of Gangrel know this?
I doubt it.
Wait, like coven, like a witch coven?
Yeah. Raven's history is very long and...
Arabella Rowlands, what does she want it, do you think, then, if it's Raven's book?
It's probably full of a lot of magic stuff.
Was Arabella... I mean, Arabella's reasonably old-ish, I think. Miles, how old is Arabella?
Unsure. I was under the impression that her embrace was not terribly off from mine, but...
Oh,
But I don't know for sure. I've never actually looked up her pedigree.
So it's not likely then that, like...
But she's the child of Rowlands.
Are we sure of that?
Fairly sure.
She wouldn't have been in, like, a witch coven with Raven, then.
No, it's
So
not
she just
likely.
wants it for different things. But
Yeah.
Raven wants it, too.
Raven wants it, yes.
Okay. Because the impression I got, and I don't know for a fact, obviously, but the impression that I got was that Arabella doesn't have it yet.
Yeah, but she has fragments of it.
Oh, okay.
That's what I thought he said.
I don't know.
So the Tremere do their own kind of magic. Then there's what Neil can do. When you say a coven, how's that separate?
Different kind of magic. Different... Neil sculpts with clay. The Tremere carve ice. This is painting on a canvas.
Is it? Because, I mean, it might... There's the possibility that it might not even be magic. Like,
to be fair, if we're using art analogies, I think Xantosa sculpts with clay. I think Neil makes collages with newspapers.
Yeah, but they're like really good collages.
I'm not saying they're bad.
Anyways, it may be a form of mortal magic too, not any of the things that we're dealing with.
Is that even real?
While we're talking about this, Neil,
yeah,
do you mind doing that thing you did to the windows?
Yeah, I had kind of planned on it. And I was also going to do a thing wherever I end up sleeping, so that if we get interrupted during the day, that I can wake up. Yeah, Johnny. And sort of like Neil sort of looks a little perked up, like Johnny is taking him seriously and not just immediately attacking him for doing blood magic.
You can see that he's actually very reticent about asking you, but you get the feeling that he's trying to extend an olive branch.
Neil sort of pops his fangs and uses one of them to rip open his thumb, and then starts walking around just drawing little blood sigils on all the windows and doors.
He'll walk with you and kind of watch while he's listening to Wynn talk more about the Codex. He's kind of giving you a sneer as you're doing it, but he's controlling himself and just holding back the curtains so that you can do your ritual.
Still listening to Wynn talk about the Codex, but as he's doing this ritual, sort of muttering under his breath, he occasionally will throw out little explanations of stuff, kind of like a kid showing off his art project that he's like really excited to see for his dad to see, even though it's bad. That kind of energy as he just walks the paces, and it takes him like the better part of an hour as they're all talking.
So when it sounds like we don't really know what kind of magic, if anything, the Codex has in it?
Honestly, I don't know what kind of magic is in it. I know that there probably is magic in it.
Rumored to be powerful.
And I suspect the rumors are what drew Arabella to it.
It's important to Raven one way or another.
It's important to Raven, and it's something that she asked me to help her with in exchange for getting an in with the Giovanni here in Boston.
We do, in theory, have an in with the Giovanni.
They owe Raven some favors, and she's agreed to help me with it
So
if I help her with this.
We have kind of three goals while we're up here in Boston, right?
Two of them seem to involve Arabella.
They're kind of related,
right.
But we need to deal with Arabella. We need to find the Codex for Raven, or at least try to.
At least give her some clues so she can keep up the search.
Yeah, and then related to all of that was you had something you wanted to talk to Giovanni about with something with the Lands of the Dead.
There was a huge storm, and they're anticipating. So
I want to hear more about this storm and the Giovanni, but before we get there, real quick, when I got your back, I trust you on this. But what's Raven's game here? Because I know you have a relationship with her, but I don't trust that gangrel as far as I can throw her. Granted, I can throw people a ways, but
she looks
you get
really
my point.
Heavy.
I understand and sympathize. Raven I don't know. Elders are weird.
Yeah.
Elders play their own cards. They keep their cards close to the chest. I would be lying if I said she had drawn me in for anything, but she has a lot of knowledge, and she's an asset.
When I was in Baghdad, Jubair and Nara were talking to me about basically more people now are playing their elders games than ever before. That basically every elder is trying to push towards their end game.
Raven said something similar.
So whatever her end game happens to be,
it involves the Ur Codex.
Well, I guess we kind of have to go out on a limb and trust some people. So you think Raven it would be okay to facilitate this business with the Ur Codex for her?
I do, yeah.
If Arabella is burning people alive, I feel like I would rather have Raven have it than Arabella.
I mean, it's really depending on what those people did.
Which those people?
The one that she burned alive.
If Arabella is interested in things like magic books and people who go after her burst into flames, I mean...
There's a lot of ways that can come about.
But
stopping Arabella doesn't mean we have to find this book for Raven. But, Wynn, if you think this is the best way to maintain that relationship, and she hasn't shown you anything to turn you off from helping her in this endeavor?
I don't trust her with my life, but I do trust her.
That's good enough for me.
She did leave us behind to deal with the Weeping Bear.
That's why I trust her, but I don't trust her with my life.
On the flip side, the more that time is going on, and the more things I'm learning about, the more I think that Raven was actually kind of straight with us back in January.
I think she
about
was.
Things.
I don't think she's kept a lot of secrets when it comes to stuff that we need to know. She's just looking out for herself.
All right. If the two of you think that it's a good idea to be dealing with her, I'm in.
Oh, I have no idea. I just think she was, I'm as sure as I can be.
Trust your instincts.
Well, I'm trusting Wynn on this one, but...
Well, speaking of Arabella and the Codex, it seems to me that if she's got fragments of it, if we find her, then we're closer to getting to the actual Codex. But, well, speaking as someone who just recently got lit on fire a little and all, that's not really something... How are we going to approach this?
Well, we don't have any leads on Arabella, other than the fact that she's in Boston.
I can find
the people who might have leads are probably the Giovanni. So, Wynn, why don't you go back to telling us about why exactly you want to talk with them before I interrupted you on that?
Among the dead, there are legends of these great storms called maelstroms. And there's the story that when the 6th, I believe, comes, it will wipe out the souls of the dead.
Now, is this like a storm that we can see, or...?
No. There might be effects in what they call the Skinlands, but this would be something that just annihilates the land of the dead.
I'm sorry. When I know you have these visions with the dead, treat me like that I'm an elementary school student.
Okay.
And I need to be explained this from the ground up. What exactly is going on here?
So, how elementary school could go, like, you need to know what the Shadowlands are?
Yeah.
All right. So I'll do my best. This is something kind of I've always seen.
You mean ghosts?
Ghosts, spirits, different worlds interlaid on top of each other. There's a place for spirits, elemental things, and then there's a place called the Shadowlands, which is for creatures called wraiths, which are souls of the dead that are somehow trapped there.
So, like, people who can't move on?
Yeah.
That's where Joey found himself, huh?
Yeah. Joey was still anchored here, and he still is. It's not a kind life, so to speak, that wraiths live. Aside from the possibility of necromancers using them to fuel and power objects and themselves, other wraiths, more powerful wraiths, will often feed on the smaller ones.
They, Diablerize each other?
Cannibalize is probably more the word.
Well, a soul eating a soul.
Yeah.
And this Shadowlands is all around us?
It's all around us. It's not a reflection of our world so much because there's not a lot of things have to be very old to exist in the Shadowlands, or they have to be made of soul-forged wraiths.
Well, that sounds awful.
It's awful. It's an eternity of being hammered on an anvil, being raised to malleable temperatures and being hammered.
Now I'm more anxious about dying.
So, and this
I don't-
maelstrom seems to be doing massive destruction to the Shadowlands.
Yes, and the wraiths, and it's causing some unforeseen consequences, if any of part of this could be foreseen. It's knocking souls back into their bodies, but not in any kind of productive way. It's creating zombies. Just
Like Romero Walking Dead kind
Yes.
of bullshit? That seems
incapable of speech.
weird.
No real goal other than violence. It seems like they're in pain.
That was that business in the Holy Land, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Withers gave me a call on that. I didn't actually take care of it, but I heard about some of the guys that did have to clean it up.
Yeah, it's not good. One of the wraiths I'm regularly in contact with told me about it, and he told me about all the things that are happening. He's not a good person, by the way. Wraiths are just like anyone else. Some are like Joey, some are like Mr. Perfect.
If he calls himself Mr. Perfect, I could understand why he would not be the best person.
Well, he wanted me to watch him cannibalize some of the other ghosts,
Okay.
so that's,
Gross.
yeah, it's...
Right.
So these Giovanni are the ones to talk to about this problem with the Shadowlands?
The Giovanni are known necromancers, and they have a relationship with the Shadowlands that few other clans do.
Yeah.
I'm not anticipating getting along with them very well, but they are looking for mediums. They are looking for...
So you're going to probably run into a lot of scenarios like how Reese was abusing ghosts,
Yeah.
but it's going to be
Can you keep
that
it
much
together for
worse.
that? Because if we piss off the Giovanni here, we piss off the Tremere, which means we piss off the whole city.
Guess we'll see. I know that's not the right answer,
If
but
you need help keeping calm before we go in anywhere, let me know.
I might.
I think that might be a good idea.
I'll give you a high five if I need a hand.
Okay.
Or just tell you
I
if the
just-
situation allows it.
I don't
but
want to preemptively dead your nerves before
I don't want that
without
either.
your help or without your say so, but in case.
I appreciate that.
We got very few friends in this city. The Tremere and the Giovanni are potentially a few of the only ones that might actually be willing to help us. Give it some thought.
You were saying something about being able to find Arabella, Neil?
I think so. Yeah. I haven't done it. I had in practice, but I know who she is. I can at least follow her trails. We need a starting place, a place to really look for. So if the Scourge could tell us where the
Burned body was found?
where the last one died,
Yeah.
it might help pick up some clues. It'll take us a trail straight to her. In theory, I haven't done it, but it's possible. Otherwise, it's just looking for clues and trying to get a sense of where to go. If I'm good for anything, right? It's looking at stuff.
You're good for lots, Neil.
Is it safe for you to do this?
Good question.
It seems like we have I feel like they're going to let us do what we need to do if we can get rid of the Arabella problem for them.
So long as we're pursuing Arabella, that kind of, between Upton Rowlands and Pendragon, and they seem surprised.
One of those held more weight than the other. Probably the Pendragon.
Pendragon, if
Yeah.
we're around here.
Unless there's a schism within this.
And if we're lucky, we can just take care of all this real quick and leave and never have
So
to go to
it-
court.
Why
with
would you
Quinn
say
King.
that?
If the court wants to reach out to us,
It's true.
Who's going to speak to the court on the behalf of the coterie? Because it might, unfortunately, not want to be you, Miles.
I mean, I could put on other clothes, but I think that would still be a good one.
You're
I don't think you're going to change your blood with a change of suit.
Quinn King.
I'm not unknown.
Yeah.
I'd say either Britta or Neil.
Is that even allowed?
Well, we'd find out fairly quickly.
Well, I just mean that I'm not acknowledged yet.
Better keep that under wraps. No one needs to know the business of New Haven.
Unless you're asked directly, don't lie to somebody like Quentin King. I mean, he's presumably better at picking out truths than we are. Plus, his group of knights there they scare me. They really scare me.
I mean, would he get along better with you being a Malkavian?
Not necessarily. Not if I stumble over my words. How much do you know about, like, courtly speech and Arthurian legend?
I mean, when it comes to etiquette and stuff like that, I've been learning as well as I can.
He might look at me like a court jester. If he looks at you like a visiting princess or something, like that might be a benefit. I mean, we can both be there, obviously, but when it comes to talking to people, I will 100% let you take the lead. And if there's something I think you really need to know, I'll just put the thought in your head.
That's a weird way to put that.
Why?
Apparently that's a new thing you can do.
What do you mean?
Putting a thought in a head.
I can hear thoughts if I try.
That's what I mean by a new thing that you can do.
Have you
But you
been
can-
doing that a lot, hearing thoughts?
Not without listening.
I'm just going to let this go.
Yeah, it's probably for the best.
All right. It sounds like we have a plan. I think first thing tomorrow, it sounds like you're going to contact Raven.
I'm going to try and contact Raven.
And we're going to then try to see if we can locate Arabella.
If you guys really want me to be talking in front of the court, I am going to need a lot of help.
Well,
Yeah.
hopefully it doesn't come to that. Hopefully we can just in and out and
If you got to talk with Quentin King or any of his knights, I will be there by your side, and no one will lay a finger on you.
Okay.
yeah,
Thank you, guys.
we'll all be there. But
I'm sure they won't let us wander around by ourselves anyways.
frankly, and not to, I hope you take this as more of a compliment than an increase of pressure as we lay stones upon you. But frankly, out of all of us, I think you're probably the best choice to talk to people and make them not hate us in this city.
I just don't want to repay what you guys have done for me by endangering you just because I don't know something like what a scourge is or how to properly ask for hospitality or anything like that.
Don't worry about that.
Well, see, the thing is, Miles can probably coach you if we have to go somewhere beforehand, and just he can tell you the etiquette, and then you can execute it.
I mean, some of the stuff we've covered before too, so
Just don't
it's
tell
not
them
terribly different.
If you need a quick
Miles is the
refresher on what court positions are, we can also make that happen.
Also, Quentin King's court is weird, so, like, kind of none of us really know the rules.
All right. Thank you, guys.
It's all jazz.
And hopefully we don't have
Don't
to.
forget, the Camarilla is a society that's existed for centuries, maybe even more. The oldest of us have only been part of it for less than half a century. It takes a long time to appease some of these elders. If you realize that, and that you're never going to be good enough for them, accept that, use it as armor, and just let your attitude do all the talking.
A lot of it's about first impressions, and again, I think you're going to give a better first impression than any of us.
I'll try.
That's all we can ask.
Hey, Miles, don't give me that look.
I cannot help myself. He understands his position in the city since it's backwards.
Sometimes it's easy for me to get too caught up in remembering that I've only been remembering for a couple months. So, thank you. That helps.
If
It helps put things in scale, Johnny.
If it helps make you feel better too, you might be older than any of us. You might be better pursued. We don't know that.
All right, that's enough helping.
All right. Neil, did you finish doing your wooge to the windows?
Neil goes into the last windows and just finishes, and with a little expenditure of ritualistic will, closes off the space so that light can no longer come inside. Okay, so sun's coming up soon. Should we?
I'm going to turn in.
Okay.
All right.
I need to take the suit off, but then I'm good to go.
Johnny just takes his jacket off, tosses it on the floor, and kind of bunches it up like a pillow, and then beds down right in the main room.
Neil goes to sleep in the tub, and right before he goes to sleep, takes a little Ziploc baggie out of his fanny pack and scatters a bunch of ashes into the tub first, and then curls up and closes the curtain.
Apparently, I get my own room. I love this.
Um,
Very proper. I love it.
Wynn
Good job,
takes
guys.
one of the bedrooms and just kind of cuddles up on the bed.
Yeah, it's sleep overnight for the girls.
Yep.
And as dawn rises, each of you find yourselves in a restless sleep. Neil, as the group of you rest, you find yourself very suddenly jerked awake by the power of your blood magic. Already, you can smell smoke in your nostrils, and this this soft, orangey, flickering light from somewhere else in the apartment. I need you to make a humanity roll at difficulty 8.
Can I spend a willpower on this?
Yes.
3 successes.
With 3 successes, you will be able to remain active for a period of 3 rounds at no dice penalty for the first 2 rounds because of your ritual that you have in place.
Neil pulls himself out of the bathtub and starts yelling, "Everybody up! Everybody up! There's a fire!"
Path of Night is an actual play Vampire the Masquerade podcast set in the classic world of darkness. Britta Ashcroft the Toreador was played by Rebecca Steigelfest. Johnny Saxon the Brujah was played by Garrett Gabbey. Miles Davenport the Ventrue was played by Tim Davis. Neil Foster the Malkavian was played by Rob Muirhead. Wynn Cabot the Gangrel was played by Erika Webb. Your storyteller was Lex Lopez. Recording by Rebecca Steigelfest. This episode was edited by Rob Muirhead. The music used in this episode was January Grunge Love Fest by Technoaxe. Visit them online at technoaxe.com. Path of Night uses the 20th anniversary edition rule set of Vampire the Masquerade with a few limited house rules. Vampire the Masquerade is owned by Paradox Interactive. Make sure to subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on Twitter at Path of Night Pod, on Facebook at facebook.com/Path of Night Podcast, or email us at pathofnightpodcast@gmail.com. See you next time, Kindred. Polo shirts with the
Time to
collar
break the
flipped.
curse.
Is this the 2-collar era?
No, that's
too early.
We're a little bit early.
Yeah,
for that, I
it's
think.
like
Too
5 years
early for
later.
the double collar era.
No, that's
No.
it's like 2 years later.
Double collars.
early
like
early 2000s.
2000s.
Yeah.
Do you know what we're talking about?
It's where you wear 2 polos at the same
Same
time,
time.
so you got 2 different collars.
I know.
And they're both popped.
I know what the collar thing is, but this all just kind of sounds like.
There's the way of Brosidon.
It just sounds like Jersey Shore to me, to be honest.
Lord of
It's
Roshan.
not inaccurate.
It's North. It's North Jersey, basically.
Okay.
I think one of the people from the Jersey store is from that area. So
All right.
Anyways, we get to Quincy Market.
We apologize to our Boston listeners.
We
do not.
The feeding is actually insanely easy here.